Today on Captain Council Laboratory, we're going to be working on a piece from Department 56. I want to say it's the Sledding Hill? I could be wrong. I just asked her to send me the insides. But it's one of those that says, do not microwave, which I think is hilarious. I don't know who throws these things in the microwaves. It's so weird. But anyway, you see that's turning. That's not. So, let's see about fixing this. Sliding out of my hand wasn't part of it. I find it funny on these old pieces like the ski hill and stuff that it says, don't microwave. Don't put in your oven. I really, really, really want to know who did all that that required a safety warning. So, we're going to open this too, but I want to also, let's take a look. Let's see if we can see where it's slipping first, I guess. Oh, I see where it's slipping. You don't have to take this apart. I'm going to take it apart to examine the belt because I do have one of these inserts, this section only, and the reason I have it is because I think I found it at Goodwill, and the belt was melted to the rollers. I was checking to see if that was the problem, but it does move. It's not moving in here though. So, go back to the little. The belt's still good. I don't even see any shredded material. Oh, wow. Oh, that's the motor. Put that back in. That one, though, is being a little bit of a pain. There we go. Sometimes on these older units, I found either they're glued in or they've gotten so hot they've melted in the screws. So, I think our problem is right here. It is. We have a broken gear. So, that was pretty fast. But let's check how this thing spins just by hand, and we're going to check this gear at the same time. So this has a keyed shaft. So it's got a flat side like the letter D, capital. See the belt track's not center. I could push it center if I... No, it walks right back to the right. But it spins nicely. I don't feel any sticky spots, so we're all good there. So we need to find a gear. And let me get this thing fixed. So now the one that I have as a backup. I got the belt freed. I don't know if somebody glued it or if it got residue, but the nylon belt was actually stuck to the pulley, which I thought was weird. And only this section, like I said, was at Goodwill, not the entire body. I got the belt freed up and it's not damaged. The belt works, the pulleys work. And I have it as a backup in case I ever got one, like this, and I needed a new belt as an example, or crack the housing. I have a spare housing. So it's, you know, sometimes it's nice to have spare parts, but they do take up a lot of space. Trust me, I know. You can't tell, but behind me I have a large étage array. To the left of me is a large étage array full of parts, like lots of them. So I think this is the exact, it is. So I do have an exact here. It may have come from Skull Crane, or it may have been in one of these kits and it just got intermixed. So I'm going to link them all below. So I'll link Skull Crane, I'll link the generic kits, I'll link them all. Now this is a press fit, so that means there's nothing on this shaft. There's no knurling, there's no striations or splines to stop this gear from spinning. It just slips if it breaks or if it has a problem. So it's just a press fit. So press fits, you have to actually, like it says, press fit them, which is normally how you break them. The spline ones are nice because they'll cut grooves and they usually last longer, but they're under more stress when you assemble them. So if you ever watch what I do before, is I use a pair of wire strippers, and then that way I can push the shaft through one of the many holes to get it up the shaft. So I'm clamping onto the shaft so I don't push this up. There you go. Inspect it for breaks, because like 25% of the time these things snap. Now we need to check for alignment. So if the gear is too high, it doesn't touch. If the gear is too low, it doesn't go in. I think we're pretty close. I think this big pulley did move a little bit. Oh, that did. Just go back and forth until you get your alignments right. I think we're good. I got enough meat into the bottom. It's bottoming out in the bushing, and the pulley's lined up with the other pulley. Let's put the belt on and the crossbar. Crossbar. Apparently the motor wire is not in the right spot. There's a little notch for it. It's not in the notch. Let's try this again. Get out of the way. Alright, so this guy decided to come out too. It is a keyed shaft as well, so see if we can get the key to drop back in. Now if this gear breaks, you're going to have a problem, because you're going to have a problem finding this one, because it's got a keyed shaft on both ends, a tall key and a small key. I feel like I'm doing a lock pick to try and get this thing lined back up. Come on. right. Now the motor's seated. Make sure your wires go over to the bottom where this plate is, where there's a notch for the wires. I didn't even pay attention to that when I assembled it. I was just excited I got the other thing aligned. Let's get some of these screws in to hold it in place. Technically, it's not too hard of a job if you can get everything to line up right. That's the key. Now that I got the motor lined up, this is off a little bit, so we're going to push that down a little bit more. Make sure it didn't crack. Good. Don't forget the belt. I'm so used to Limax where you don't have something to retain the belt or a crossbar which retains the pulley that I keep forgetting about this thing, that it has to go on first. The belt. Oops, that's too low. There we go. Alright, I'll turn for a second. Apparently the alignment's still off. I don't know why this one wants to be so hard. Explain that one to me, Batman. It's going the wrong direction. Well, that's strange. Or is it the right direction? We just got a bad pad. Huh. The reason I keep stopping, and I wonder if that's why I broke the gear, because that's a lot of stress on the gear to go from a movement to an abrupt stop. Because you turn it off, it'll coast a little bit. Because yeah, this thing's split. Because I assumed, and maybe I'm just wrong, this was the top where the ramp is. I guess we're going to have to look it up. I'm going to look it up. I'll be right back. Okay, I did look it up. This is the top. And I didn't even realize that I have a sledding hill here. I just didn't open the box. That's because it's on the bottom of a stack. Yeah. So why is this thing spinning backwards? That is strange. Should be going the other direction because the gap here is much, much smaller, and that's so when they come off the ramp, they can grab the magnet instantly. Well, this gap is a lot bigger, so they can slide up on over. So it's spinning backwards. I did not touch the wiring in any fashion, as you saw. Motor only goes in one way, and gear only does one thing too. So I can't imagine the power supply being backwards. That will do it, though. Let's find out. So I saw on BC. No, power supply's going the right way. So, why is the motor going the wrong way? I wonder if the motor was replaced and they soldered the wires in on the wrong sides. You know what that means? I take it back out. But we don't have to take the bar off. We only have to take the 3 outer screws. Those wires don't appear to be soldered, they appear to be wrapped. Let's get some closer look. Yeah, they're just poked through. I wonder if the motor was replaced. Even the capacitor is just, none of this is soldered. The person that sent it to me probably thought it was a bad motor. Replace the motor, because that's usually what it is. It's just a motor and a couple of gears. Turn on my power supply so I can turn on my soldering iron. And I bet you they just got the wires backwards. DC motors can spin in reverse. That's why sometimes it's important to know the polarity of your connections. So that's fine. We're going to fix it. This one is, I twisted it around the capacitor. Here we go. Now that should slide out. There we go. So this one is the, so that should go with that. These little capacitors are unidirectional. Most capacitors aren't. These are. So it doesn't matter which way you stick them in, as long as you have one. Technically, you don't need one on this. It's for noise. There's no noise that you have to worry about. There's no circuitry. But it's still nice to have it. It's just something to quiet the motor down, quiet the electricity down. Let's see if I can slide this through the hole. Probably not with the capacitor. That's probably why they had it wrapped. I couldn't get both in the hole at the same time. Yeah, that's one. There we go. And I got both of those in there. And I'm going to solder this side. As you saw, the wire wrap method did work. It was just wire wrapped wrong. I'm going to solder it so that way the wires don't come out. Because you saw the one was really easy to get out. The other one was a little harder because of the way the capacitor wire was shoved through. And I don't want that happening when I ship it back. Go. Ooh, I hear police sirens. Or a fire truck. I have a firehouse a half a mile from me and they drive down the road by me all the time. Usually though they don't have their sirens on unless it's a big emergency. Okay, should spin the right way now. Alright, let's get the motor wires into their groove. Like so. Now get the gears into their groove. So, and I'm just going to hold it just to make sure that we're good. So plug it in, push it in. There we go. So, turn off that. Be surprised how much heat you'll get in this little room when that soldering iron's on, or the heat gun for a extended periods of time. Heat gun's usually around 150 to 200 degrees Celsius, and the soldering iron's 250 as well. So there's a lot of heat coming off of them. All right, now that they're tight, there you go. So this Sledding Hill insert will be sent back, and it just saves on shipping versus sending the whole thing, because if you send the whole thing it's expensive because of its size. This is much more manageable, and this is the only part that breaks, well, unless you break your foam housing, and there's nothing I can do about that. But anyhow, so I will link below the different gear kits that may have that gear, the little guy, the pulley. I'll even link Suntronics or Happy Holiday parts, because he carries all the parts for this. That's probably where that motor came from, and I'm sure he has the OEM gear too, but I'll link him as well. That way you have multiple options if you need the gear, belt, pulley, motor. When I say belt, I'm referring to this one. He may have this belt, I'm not sure. This belt shouldn't technically break any time in your lifetime unless something happens to it, spill something corrosive on it, or it gets adhered by heat or glue. But yeah, there you go. So just take this out of the bottom of your sledding hill. Just take off the screws on this side. Unless there's something wrong in here, you don't have to take off the side screws. I have in the past had to replace the idler. I don't know if you can see it bouncing around in there. That's what keeps tension on the belt. I have had to fix one of those. This is a smaller version. I've showed it in other videos of an idler for a small belt, like from Limax. So you may have to get in here to open it up to get to that. So you have your drive pulley here, which has a rubber neoprene vinyl piece on it that grips the nylon belt. You have your idler here, and then that's technically your tensioner, and that keeps tension on the belt so it doesn't slip, and it moves up and down because the sledding magnets, they don't flex, so it pushes it in. Also, where the belt's stitched together pushes it in, so this thing bobs up and down 3 times per revolution of the belt. 2 steep ones and then 1 shallow one, and the shallow one is where the belt is stitched together. The more you know. But that way, if you ever look inside yours and you're like, oh, why is it doing this? Now you know. As far as cleaning, rubbing alcohol, you get rid of some of this gray, disgusting track stuff. You can replace the felts, which will help not get so dirty. You can also put a very thin coating of like furniture polish on this, make it slick. So that way it's less likely to build up any staining. So, but any of that, other than that, sorry, that's it. Very simple process. Just small issue with getting the alignment right, which you'll probably encounter too. I encounter every once in a while, like today. And then the wires were backwards. Not a problem. Easily fixed. What I would do, since they're not marked, the motor does say plus and minus on it. That doesn't mean anything. That just means that's how the motor company would like you to have it spin. That doesn't mean that's how your power comes in. So mark one wire and one part of the motor so you know which wire went where when you put the new motor in, so you know it's spinning in the right direction and not in reverse. Because you notice it doesn't like to spin backwards. So anyhow, that should do it. Other than that, thanks for watching. Until the next one.